Okay, today is our second career presentation in our virtual career fair series, and we have Breann Scharpe from Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad, and she's going to talk to us about careers in transportation.
Perfect. Well, welcome everybody. Like Amy said, my name is Breann Scharpe. I am the Human Resources Manager here at BNSF for the Montana division. So I'm based out of Minot, North Dakota. My territory covers from, when you look at the state, Minot down to Mandan, and then everything west into covering all of Montana. And then the other HRs cover up to my territories. So pretty large selection of area that I cover. I've been with BNSF, I'm in my 7th year. I've always been in HR in the human resources field. So I've had a lot of experience. I've worked with a lot of individuals on different hiring options and so forth. So I've got quite a bit of information to share with you guys. There is some interactive stuff, so feel free to chime in or pop in and ask questions. I did put a chat box up with our careers website in the chat. So if you guys have time and want to write that down, it's there. I will share it at the end of the presentation as well. So moving on, we will start. The first thing that we typically do in any of our meetings of any size is we have a safety briefing. And in this year of 2020, our safety briefings are a little different, as most of our stuff has become virtual, especially when we have been asked to gather as a group. In the past, we've gathered in person, and now we're doing a lot of this stuff as virtual. So in those moments when we aren't doing a virtual gathering and we are doing a gathering as a large group, larger group, we now also take into consideration 6 feet of distance. So that you don't see that in here, but it is labeled on there as COVID-19 continues to pose a public health challenge. Many of us are working remotely. So while we are working from home, we still keep safety at the front of our mind. We keep all of that stuff in practice. We adopt and conduct an exposure-based risk assessment of our work area before beginning each day. So many of us have had to get some new equipment and so forth because we were having some safety incidents or some troublesome issues with our alignment and how we were sitting at work. So we have had to do that, but also keeping in mind what are those lines of fire, releases of energy, any pinch points, desks where you guys are sitting. I know we've blurred out or we've blocked off our cameras, so can't see you guys, but I know if you're sitting at a desk and you've got your chairs right there up against there, watch your fingers. You don't want to pinch your fingers up against that. If you're leaving or entering the room, watch the doors closing. Don't get your hands slammed in there. If you're in an area that has stairs, make sure you're paying attention, ascending, descending, and then walking path of travel. I would say probably the biggest issue that we have usually is looking down, whether we're looking at our phones or looking at something else and not paying attention to what's in front of us. Let's move on.
BNSF Railway has a long history tied to the growth of the United States. At the heart of our nation's supply chain for more than 160 years, the railroad has kept the economy rolling. And today, it connects communities to the world. This is BNSF Railway. BNSF moves enough grain each year to supply 900 million people with bread every day. 1 of every 10 homes in the United States is powered by the coal hauled by BNSF. Every 7 seconds, a container of clothing, furniture, electronics, or other goods is lifted onto the BNSF network. And emerging markets like domestic energy are served by BNSF Rail, contributing to the stability of our energy future. Moving freight by rail is the most fuel-efficient form of land transportation. BNSF can move 1 ton of freight nearly 500 miles on 1 gallon of diesel fuel. BNSF continually invests in new technologies and equipment to further improve the railroad's efficiency and reduce emissions. In fact, since 2000, BNSF has spent more than $42 billion to improve and expand its network. BNSF is a rail industry leader with innovations that make operations safer and improve service to customers. One of the largest railroads in North America, BNSF spans more than 32,000 miles in 28 states and 2 Canadian provinces. It provides American businesses access to world markets through connections to most major ports and to railroads in Canada and Mexico. BNSF employs more than 40,000 people and is consistently recognized as one of the top military-friendly employers in the United States. The strong commitment to employee safety is reflected in BNSF's vision to operate without injury and accident. That vision guides BNSF employees in their dedication to safe operations through the communities BNSF serves. And while BNSF employees volunteer their time in those communities, the BNSF Foundation provides support to nonprofits and community-based services across the country. In 2010, BNSF became part of Berkshire Hathaway in what Warren Buffett described as an all-in wager on the economic future of the United States. We're working to serve that economic future for the next century. This is BNSF Railway.
All right, so the next couple of slides that I have are some little quiz questions, and we talked about it. It was all stated in that video. So if you guys want to unmute and help participate a little bit, you can shout out your answers or you can throw it in the chat, whatever is easiest for you guys. But first question, BNSF moves enough grain annually to supply how many people with a year's supply of bread?
They said C, 650 million, or D, 900 million.
The answer is D, 900 million people it will supply enough grain, which is crazy. All right, moving on. Next question. The average BNSF intermodal train moves the equivalent of what it would take how many trucks to move?
Got a guess? I'm going to say D, 310.
Was it B?
One says B. Answer is C, 208 trucks. We'll meet in the middle there. All right, next question. BNSF transports enough lumber each year to build more than how many homes?
C.
I heard a C.
Yeah. C. C.
All right. Final answer is D, 500,000 homes a year. All right. Every year, BNSF hauls enough coal to power one of every how many homes in the nation?
One out of every 8 homes.
8. Answer is B, 12. 1 out of every 12 homes.
Everything's gotta go 1 up.
All right, that concludes the quiz. So here we'll chat through some of the different opportunities that we have at BNSF. So transitioning here into our college recruiting opportunities. So I know you guys are all in high school still, and some of you might be thinking college isn't on your mind yet, and some of you are thinking, man, what am I going to be doing? So BNSF really has a lot of different opportunities for every individual. I think most people, when they think of working for the railroad, they think about, oh, I'll be driving those trains, or I'll be working on the track and maintaining the track. We're so much more than that. As the video stated, we operate in 28 different states, and there's over almost 50,000 people that work for BNSF. So not all 50,000 of those people are running trains and maintaining the track. We've got people that are working in the mechanical department. They're servicing the locomotives and the rail cars. We have people working in telecom. They're making sure that all of our communication devices are up to speed and making sure that we have constant contact, because what is required is our locomotives are required to stay in constant contact with our dispatchers, and all of our dispatchers are housed in Fort Worth, Texas. So people that are making sure that the tracks are cleared and the signals are ready to roll, they're manipulating all of that. It's like a video game, really. They're watching this screen and they're doing that from Texas. So the people who manage our tracks up north here, they're thousands of miles away from us. And then you get into our corporate type careers, and we have jobs in HR, and we have jobs in accounting and finance, marketing, and then inside of all of those hubs, you can branch out and go into different avenues as well. So really, there's a lot of opportunities that BNSF has to offer. We have a management trainee program and we have an intern program. So our intern program is always through a summer. Usually they come on in June and then they wrap up around the first part of August. Some of our interns will get classified as corporate interns, and some of our interns are field interns. So the difference, obviously, you'll be in a corporate setting versus a field setting. So most of our interns, what they do during those 2.5 months or so that they're working, is they're in charge of a special project. So whoever their mentor is, who they get partnered up with, they will have a list of ideas and some different concepts to run with, and then the interns will put together this project. And a lot of times we get questions on, well, what is the value of these projects? Is it just a busy project, or does it actually account to something? And majority of these projects that these interns are putting together are ideas and recommendations for future projects that we're going to be working on. So yes, they are value-added projects. Once they have been completed and they've been presented, our senior leaders will take that information, and then they will work it into their plans for their upcoming seasons. So a lot of high level eyes, we'll say, are looked at these projects. So everything that is put into it is definitely important data that's taken. Then our MT program, our management trainee program, is for those who have graduated from college. A lot of our interns will apply for a management trainee opening. So both the interns and the management trainee programs are paid. So sometimes people feel that an intern program is not paid and you've got to wing it for that time frame just to get the experience. Not here at BNSF, we will pay you through that. And then the same with the management trainee. So both programs you apply for, you have to get accepted. You interview and you have to get accepted for. A lot of times, if you've been an intern and then you're applying for the management trainee, a lot of times it's an easier transition because you already have a little bit of information about the company and how our processes work, but you don't necessarily have to be an intern to be accepted as a management trainee. A little bit more about the summer internship and the management trainee program. Like I said, that gives you the opportunity to work on impactful projects in a rewarding work environment. So not only are you working on these projects, but you're also developing a network. We are widespread. We're in 28 states, and oftentimes our work isn't just secluded to this area that we're in. It often involves others outside. We work really closely with a bunch of individuals on the Northwest Division. So that's like Washington, Oregon, Northern California, Idaho. And then we also work really closely with individuals to the east of us in the Twin Cities, South Dakota, and the rest of North Dakota as well. So lots of individuals that we're intertwining with and building that network with. So talking about some of the majors that we're looking for, this is just a high level list. It's not, you have to have these majors. We have hired individuals that have had a major outside of this list as well, but these are majors that are easily transition to some of our careers. So as you read through that, a lot of engineering, excuse me, a lot of management systems, logistic type stuff, human resources. A lot of these, if you look at them, you're dealing with people. And so because we're interacting with a wide variety of people all the time, we're always looking for those types of skills as well. And feel free to interrupt me, you guys. If anybody has any questions about anything, feel free to chime in here. So we're going to talk a little bit about some previous intern and management trainee experiences that have been documented or that we've gotten feedback on. So this is Georgia. She was an intern at BNSF, and she went through the program. I think she specifically went through the program last summer. It might have been 2 summers ago now, but last summer she was in the program. It helped her to develop her personal development and business network. She indicated that our work culture is perfect for students who want to take on responsibility in an uplifting environment that values development. So our intern program too is something to keep in mind. We do like to have you be in a college setting, but you don't have to be in a certain year. So you could go through the intern program, and you actually could do several different stints as an intern. If you applied and you were accepted, let's say your freshman year, your sophomore year, you could do several different stints in the intern program. And then that just helps to build your culture as well and build your expertise within the company. Another example here is Corey. So the summer that he spent with BNSF was full of learning. His coworkers were incredibly kind and patient, helped him learn the ins and outs of the railroad. And I've loved the opportunity to explore BNSF and find the department that best suits me. So Corey here was working in one of our field locations. Looks like he was working probably in our engineering department. I don't have the specific one, but based on the tools that he's holding there, he was probably in our engineering in our track department. We've had a huge capital plan, which has involved expanding and replacing several miles of track across the network. So if you guys think back to that map that showed in the video, we stem from Chicago, that's as far east as we go, and then we go all the way to the west to the different locations up to Seattle, down through California and so forth. So 28,000 miles of railroad track, which is a significant amount of track that needs to be maintained and kept up to speed to make sure that we're able to move goods from point A to point B. Katie here, she was in the management trainee program. So she indicated that the structure that was provided, it provided the structure that she needed early on and has since continued to help shape her career at BNSF by providing opportunities for development, networking, and volunteering in the community. So with the management trainee program, what comes with that? So you start out as a management trainee and you continue to build on the foundation of learning on how the business works. Let's say that you are a train master, a management trainee as a train master. And so what the train master role is it is ensuring and making sure that we have our crews ready to work to move the trains from one location to another and servicing our customers along the way. So while it seems simple and it doesn't seem hard, you're hurting a very large group of individuals. So you're ensuring that they're there on time, they have the right materials, they have the right work order. Every trip that they go on, every trip that they leave, they have several pages. We just recently transitioned to an iPad. So now it's all on their iPad, but they used to have to print anywhere from 50 to 100 pages per trip of work that needed to be conducted as they went from one location to another location. So while yes, they are sitting on that locomotive, they're also doing things while they're on that locomotive. They're ensuring they're watching their surroundings, they're paying attention to the track, they're paying attention to the different stops. Once they get to a customer, whether they're at like a grain site or something like that, there's different things that they have to do, whether it's unhooking certain rail cars, rehooking up some of the rail cars in their facilities, etc. So there's a huge work order, and all of that orchestra, the train master is helping to make sure it's following through. So the management trainee position, they work as a train master, they learn those processes, and then they develop those habits. Once they have passed their management trainee process, that could be anywhere from 6 months to a year. It just depends on their development. It depends on how quickly they want to progress through the process. Sometimes they'll be promoted within that same location that they're currently working in. Sometimes they'll be promoted to a completely different location. It just depends on what the needs are and what that person, that management trainee, has indicated to BNSF where they would like to be. We take pride in respecting people's wishes. You know, if you're born and raised in Fort Worth, Texas, and then we say, hey, you're going to be a train master in Minot, North Dakota, that's a huge culture shock. Not only just difference of people, but weather, obviously. Working in sub-zero temperatures, because we are a 24/7 operation, you still have to get outside, and we still got to make sure those trains are moving. So if somebody has never been farther north than Nebraska and then asking them to move to North Dakota, it might not end up working out. So we take into consideration what their needs are, what their desires are, and then we hope to fit them in a specific spot. And then this individual, Guadalupe, he is a mechanical management trainee. He was able to learn from the teams on what it took to troubleshoot and repair a locomotive. So a lot of our locomotives are electronic. They do still have some mechanical aspect to them, but a lot of the innards of the locomotive itself is all very hands-on detailed with small electronic type pieces. So we work really closely with GE, General Electric, in a lot of our big diesel shops to ensure that everything is functioning smoothly and making sure everything's aligned okay. So there's a lot of detail, a lot of stuff that is learned in those capabilities as well. All right, so a lot of times we get questions too about, well, what if I don't want to be a leader? So these roles, these different positions that I was talking to you about, these are what we consider our exempt positions. We're always looking to bring individuals on into these exempt roles. You would be a leader of people in these roles. So you would manage groups, anywhere from groups of 1 to 100 people, depending on the work area. If that is not something that brings you any joy and it doesn't scream, yes, I want to be that person, we have other opportunities as well. We have a lot of entry-level jobs, which are just as rewarding. We have our conductors and our locomotive engineers. We have our track maintenance team, where there's truck drivers, machine operators, welders. We have our signal team, which they are maintaining and installing all of the signals along the railroad tracks. We have positions inside of our telecom department, again, making sure all the communications are up to speed, making sure we don't have any gaps in service and so forth. We have what it's called our structures group, and they work on our bridges and our buildings. So in the summertime, well, up north here, it's like a 6-month stint really for them that they're working outdoors, depending on the weather. And then once the weather starts to turn, we aren't having them work outside on our high structures, bridges, etc., just because of the hazards that come with that. But the structures teams maintain that. So if we have to repair a bridge that the trains are going on, the structures team is out there working with some of our engineers and so forth to ensure that we're getting those things work up to speed, making sure that they're built correctly and have the right support that is needed. We have clerical jobs. Those are very rare. They're a hot item job as well. So once somebody's into those jobs, not a lot of people veer too far away from them. But our clerical jobs are like an administrative job, 1 or 2 per location across the system, depending on what the needs are. So we have a wide variety, different options for a lot of people. And so the question might be, well, what do I need to do? Who do I need to contact? Or where can I get more information? So in that chat feature on the Zoom here, I put in the website, the jobs.bnsf.com or bnsf.com/careers. It's going to take you all to the same place. And on this website you can explore all the different opportunities that BNSF has. When you click on this is the home page, as you can see on here. And when you go to this Explore Careers, the drop-down list will come and all the different categories of jobs will pop up there. Take some time, click through it, see what's out there. You can always, there's little videos that are associated with some of the positions. You can read through what those jobs have to offer. And what we typically tell individuals too is that if you don't know what you want to do and where you want to start, that's when you want to partner with one of us in HR, and we can talk through and help answer any questions that you might have. The one thing I always like to encourage everybody is that if you have your hopes set on doing something, don't get discouraged if you don't feel that you're qualified for it, because you'd be surprised. A lot of people have qualifications that they don't realize are what exactly are needed for that role. We do have an age limit, so you have to be, in most of our jobs, 21. However, there are some jobs where we do take people at 18. So keep that in mind as well. I know that every year when we, well, we're not in a hiring period right now, but when we are in our hiring periods, we get a lot of questions from high school students as to how old do you have to be. And the youngest is 18. And those are for some of those entry-level positions. But like our conductors and engineers, you are required to be 21 based on the requirements that are for that job. There are some jobs that do require you to have a CDL license as well. So there are some basic requirements, but most of the entry-level jobs do require 18 years of age. Well, going a little crazy here. Okay. So we are on social media. BNSF is on social media. These are all of the different places that we have created profiles, and we have a stance in it, depending on what you're interested in or what you connect more with. But feel free to check us out on any of these social media platforms. If you have any questions about anything, you can always reach out to myself. I can definitely provide my contact information. I'd be glad to answer any of those questions. Or you can always contact our college recruiting team. Their email address is listed right there at the bottom, collegerecruiting@bnsf.com. We've got a very knowledgeable team based down in Fort Worth that this is all they do, is they go in and they talk to high school students and college students and educate them on the different opportunities that BNSF has to have.
What are the majority of the positions in our area, in the Minot area?
Minot area. So we have a combination. So a lot of them, let me say it this way, going into these next couple years, I'll share with what we're going to have available. A lot of things can change, and it's all going to be based on the economy and what's happening with the economy. But going into the next couple of years, we're going to be heavily hiring for our maintenance of way, our engineering teams. Those are going to be our track individuals, our truck drivers, our welders, our machine operators. Those are the roles, and the reason we're hiring heavily in those areas is because we have a lot of attrition. We've got a lot of individuals that are going to be retiring with us, so we're going to be looking to backfill them. And then we have strong plans to continue to replace and expand our track. And we just need the manpower to be able to do all of that. So for sure, that department, our engineering department, our mechanical department has recently been going through, in the entire system, has been going through kind of a downsize. We've closed a couple areas. I know the video we talked about coal, but coal has really slowed down tremendously. And because of that, so there used to be a massive amount of coal that was coming out of like the Wyoming area, what we consider our Powder River division. And because of the changing in how we are getting our energy, that's just slowed down. That the amount of people we've needed to maintain that has slowed down. So the mechanical departments have felt that. There's not necessarily as many people that are needed to maintain the locomotives and the rail cars. So we have been fortunate to place individuals into different areas, different careers, and so forth. So our mechanical department, not a whole lot in the next couple of years, unless something crazy happens with the economy and changes. I just don't see us hiring too many entry-level mechanical type jobs. Our signal department and our telecom department, I think, is going to continue to be very strong, just because as technology evolves and continues and progresses, so is our needs. I mean, literally our locomotives have to have that constant communication and contact with several different places. So we have to make sure that we're up to speed and maintaining all of that stuff. That's just on the locomotives. Then we have to also think about our other buildings and our vehicles, because we are a mobile company. We've got a bunch of BNSF vehicles as well that have to be completely equipped with all this technology as well. So our telecom folks and our signal employees, those work groups will continue to add to it. We don't have a whole lot of attrition, so it's just going to be expanding those work groups as we continue to see our forecasts expanding. And then the main group that everybody always associates with BNSF is our transportation group, our conductors, and our engineering. So we are currently in a furlough for most of our conductors and engineers, but we're slowly recalling individuals, especially because we're going to be going into our peak season. Peak season is obviously our holiday season. And so we're hoping that as we continue to bring people back from furlough, that we'll have enough business to continue to keep them working throughout this entire time frame. So I don't have anything for 2021 on my books to hire for conductors and engineers, but again, a lot can change. Election is next week. We'll see what happens. A lot can change in a very short period of time. But right now, that's what's the main areas that we're hiring for are going to be maintenance away, our engineering group, and then telecom and signal.
Well, thank you very much for presenting. I don't know if we have any students left or not, but
no problem. Thanks for having me. And like I said, if there's any questions, if anybody wants more information or clarification, feel free, give them my contact information. I would be glad to share that.
Great.